Sorcerers, Josh here, and today I'm going to do something that I didn't want to do. The plan was to wait until all of the reveals for Arthurian Legends had been completed, and then I was going to make a video talking about all those cards, the more important ones, some of the things that we had seen. Unfortunately, after today's reveal and the reaction I saw to the card, I decided I'm going to go ahead and make a video about that card, as well as discussing, some of the other cards it might impact. So if you don't want any Arthurian Legends spoilers, at this point you want to go ahead and leave this video. On the other hand, if you have been following the spoilers and you have not had a chance yet to see Neatherlingz' amazing reveal that happened today, the link to that video is going to be down below in the description of this video. So go check that out before you dive into the rest of this. Now, the card that was revealed today was just a rock. Very simple card, very simple name, 1 mana, no threshold, but what an ability. And it's an ordinary. So this card will allow you can cast this artifact into the hands of any unit that's already carrying another artifact, and then banish the artifact that they're carrying. What an amazing card. Very powerful. Will definitely impact the decks that we are seeing in the future and even currently. That being said, some folks have already flipped the table and are calling for this card to be banned. So let's all take a breath. We still have plenty of cards to come. Arthurian Legends has another probably 200-ish cards that we haven't seen yet. I can't remember how many cards have been revealed, but we know the set's 220 cards. So be calm and let's wait and see what the other cards are that come out of this set. Now, that being said, I'm not going to say that this card isn't powerful. It is. It is very, very powerful. Most folks that I've seen talking about it are very upset about the fact that it basically destroys cores and the Philosopher's Stone. It also heavily impacts Battle Mage players, which I can certainly understand. I like Battle Mage. I like that whole archetype. But some folks are already talking about, the value of cores and the value of the Philosopher's Stone is going to go down because of this card and nobody's going to play those anymore. I don't know if that's exactly true. One, this card does have a caveat. The artifact must be being carried. So when you play just a rock, you have to target an artifact that's being carried. Now, in a way, that's very good because that means that this card will be able to get to artifacts that are being carried underground or underwater. So you will be able to get rid of those pesky eggs that are underneath the ground but currently being carried. That being said, they have to be being carried. So if that devil's egg is underneath your sight and you have no way to get there and your opponent doesn't have something carrying it, it's just laying underneath your sight, just a rock isn't going to help you. In addition, you have the option, and this is a little scary, but you have the option to drop your artifacts at the end of your turn. A unit can drop artifacts. So, you could at the end of your turn declare that your avatar is dropping their Philosopher's Stone. And then, in the following turn, pick it back up. Now, of course, you have to hope during your opponent's whole turn, they don't somehow come along with a teleport and a blink and all those things and grab your artifact and run away. But that is something that you can do to prevent just a rock from targeting your Philosopher's Stone. Now, unfortunately, because of the way mana generation works, with the cores, that isn't going to work. You have to basically be holding the core at the beginning of your turn for it to generate the mana. And if you're not, it's not going to generate any mana because no one controls it at that time. But for the stone, it can work. Other artifacts, Flaming Sword, again, you can do that with those types of things. Screaming Skull, certainly with Angel's Egg, Devil's Egg, those types of things. But ideally, I think, that the goal probably, at least for the eggs, is to get those underground, underwater, where your opponent can't reach them or doesn't have a way to reach them that you're aware of, or that because of the deck they're playing or whatever. So it is a very powerful card. It is going to make it's going to make players think, how can I get around this somehow? Whether it's by dropping my artifacts at the end of the turn and then picking them up the following turn, or designing a deck that minimizes the number of artifacts. That is another option. And I would point out that of the top 4 decks at Gen Con, there was only a single core. So it's not as if you can't make a powerful, effective deck without cores and stones. So just be aware and don't be upset that, oh, this is going to destroy, my stone or my core. Could it? Yeah, it could. That's a possibility. Now you're going to have to run some risk analysis. What's your meta like? What is the meta in your area where you're playing sorcery? Is it artifact heavy? Is everyone going to be running just a rock because everyone plays a lot of artifacts? So I think all those things need to be taken into consideration. And certainly for those that are saying, let's ban it now, it needs to be banned right away, it shouldn't exist, it's too powerful, I think we all need to take a step back from that. I'm not nearly there with this card. It's certainly powerful. I will not say that it's not. But the idea of banning a card before we've seen the whole set and everything that's involved, I just don't think that's a good idea. Because here's the thing. That card is in Arthurian Legends for a reason. What the heck is it there for? What does Excalibur do? What does the Holy Grail do? We already have Love Potion, and that thing is terrifying. If you haven't seen the decks that people are planning to make with Love Potion that involve Replicate and then Scavenging Fiends, you're missing something, because that is going to be a deck type and it's going to be frightening. And I think Just a Rock is in this set for that very reason. And it's probably only one of the reasons. There needs to be highly effective removal of artifacts available to everyone. And I think that's why this card is there. So while right now you're all thinking, my cores, my stone, any of those cards that you really like to use or whatever, I'm going to lose those. Step back. This card may be needed. And without it, we may enter an era that is totally controlled by some sort of a love deck potion, or a love potion deck that basically makes it so that you can't have minions. And I will find that type of deck very frustrating to play against. That is the type of deck that I will hate, because I don't like for my resources to be taken by my opponent. I can tolerate it to a degree, but if every time I try to do something, you're stopping it, preventing it from happening, taking away the resource I just put into play, for me, that's not a fun game. And I walk away from games like that because I don't want to play them. Now, we could be entering that era with sorcery, which bothers me, but I'm hoping that Just a Rock is here for the very reason to prevent those decks from becoming dominant. Not to mention, we don't know what Excalibur or Holy Grail does. And those are going to be very powerful, more than likely. There's also a host of other artifacts that we could be getting. We have no idea what they're going to do. And it may be very important to have Just a Rock in your deck so that you can stop those cards and remove those cards. And most importantly, banish those cards, because that's what Just a Rock does. Banish. There's no Scavenging Fiending something that has been banished. It is gone. So I believe that Just a Rock is an important cornerstone for Arthurian Legends. And yes, it is super powerful. But I think that we're going to see a reason why it's in there. And we're all going to be thankful that Just a Rock is just an ordinary. Talk to you all later.